Good evening, baseball fans. How are you doing? We got a little bit of news today. Trevor Bauer will not be charged. We're going to get into it. What's going to happen next with Trevor Bauer now that he has been cleared of criminal charges? Could Anthony Rizzo and the Cubs maybe make a reunion this offseason? We'll talk about that a little bit. And we're also going to go over MLB Trade Rumors, 14 likeliest trade candidates. Let's get into it. And what is going on, baseball fans? Hello. A lot of familiar faces in the chat, as always. We have some members in the chat. We got some moderators here. What is going on? Lionheart70. Hello. William. What's going on? St. Augustine. What is going on? Sports with AJ. Nicholas. A couple of our moderators are here. Hello. Aces of the Staff. Second Coming. What is going on? Noah. Hello. Jared Cole. What is going on? Sickozams, what's going on? I think I said that right. Yogi Dude, another member. Hello. Caden Garner, what is going on? Everyone, how are we doing? Zachary Goldstein, what is going on? Combat Medic, hello. Pride NL, Dom Gunn, hello everyone. How are we doing? You know, I was not expecting to go live. I was not expecting to hear anything about Trevor Bauer today. And all of a sudden, Trevor Bauer has been cleared of all charges. To be honest, I saw that coming. I think a lot of people saw that coming. There just wasn't enough evidence against him in the end. Obviously, we're going to dive into all of it. We'll go read up on all the comments. We'll go, see what people are saying about it. And we'll also talk about Anthony Rizzo as well. There's a little rumor out there. Maybe the Cubs are interested in bringing back Anthony Rizzo. We'll talk about that. And, hey, just to... why not? Even though we're locked out right now, we can't really, we can't see any free agent signings, any trades. MLB Trade Rumors have come out with their 14 likeliest trade candidates. We'll dive into that as well. But before I do get started, everyone, if anyone's new, hit that subscribe button for me. Everyone, please, if you can right now, hit that like button. That's going to help us get out there into the algorithm. Everyone, hit that bell notification if you haven't already. And also share any of the content. I have uploaded a couple of videos in the last couple of days. I uploaded a very short one video under 3 minutes. And what was the video I did yesterday? I can't even remember what video I did yesterday. Something about, moves that I would like to see after the lockout. So make sure you go check that out as well. Alrighty, everyone. Let's dive into this. Trevor Bauer, that's our first story. That's the juiciest news of the day. But Trevor Bauer has been cleared of all charges. The district attorney of LA will not pursue anything with Trevor Bauer. But what is next for Trevor Bauer? That is the question. Let's get to it here. Alrighty, so as we can see here, the LA County District Attorney will not file criminal charges against Trevor Bauer. Bauer had been under investigation after a Southern California woman accused him of assaulting her during a sexual encounter last year. So in case you have been living under a rock, Trevor Bauer, he around halfway through the season last year, ended up getting suspended for the rest of the season. I mean, he was getting suspended by the week, so it was like every week or 2 weeks he was getting put on leave, and they just kept extending it, and so eventually they just cut his season short. So, which to me I think was the right move to do, especially if there is a criminal investigation. They were pretty serious allegations. However, as the investigation kept going on and on and on, it seemed like Trevor Bauer was on his way to being cleared, because if you remember, he took a hiatus. He wasn't on Twitter for a little while. Trevor Bauer, very known for being on social media, doing his YouTube channel. We didn't see anything on his YouTube channel. We didn't see anything on his Twitter. We didn't see anything. We were seeing so much of Trevor Bauer last offseason, and then all of a sudden, for him to just disappear like he did, it's kind of odd, honestly. But then he started to resurface again. So that's when people started thinking, okay, all right, we might, maybe Trevor Bauer maybe is on his way to getting cleared. And that's exactly what happened today. So let's rewind a little bit here. So there was a temporary restraining order placed against him by the woman that was accusing him of these allegations. But where it kind of seemed like it was taking a bit of a turn was she filed for a permanent restraining order. And once that got denied, it seemed like maybe something was kind of leaning in Trevor Bauer's favor. There were some pretty terrible allegations against him. Obviously, the things that she had been telling, I believe she was talking, I don't remember who she was speaking to. It might have been The Athletic. I can't fully remember. But she was, saying all these things, saying like he was, as they were, this is a child-friendly show. I don't want to get too into the details here, but as they were getting into their fun stuff, let's call it that, supposedly there was some abuse going on, and it was getting, Trevor Bauer calls it himself, it's just weird just talking about it. He was calling it rough, I guess, but the woman thought it went a little too far, basically. So, and then I guess there was a picture after the fact that she had sent him where she had two black eyes, and Trevor Bauer was thinking, what? He was asked her like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like, what is going on? Like, what happened? Like, what?" So Trevor Bauer, he seemed like he was genuinely concerned about it, according to his testimony, and so. But also, there was actually a video of Trevor Bauer on his channel today. He put a video giving his side of the whole story. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure you go to his channel. It's about a 7-minute video. He goes into all the details. I feel like he explains himself pretty well. And basically just saying, he was innocent, just basically, it seemed to me that he was telling the truth. I don't know. It didn't seem like there was anything he was trying to hide. It seemed like, I don't know. But that's just my opinion. You go watch the video and you gather your own opinion on it. But as for this case, again, the woman was basically, saying there was a lot of abuse involved here. But as text messages started to come out, as the investigation continued, and it was looking like it was, again, still leaning in Trevor Bauer's favor. So in the end, Trevor Bauer was cleared, and that happened today. So these were the comments from the district attorney's office. After a thorough review of the available evidence, including the civil restraining order proceedings, witness statements, and the physical evidence, the people are unable to prove the relevant charges beyond a reasonable doubt. And again, it has to be proven without a shadow of a doubt that this happened. You have to have completely overwhelming evidence for Trevor Bauer or anyone in that matter to be convicted. And there just wasn't enough in his favor. It seemed like there was evidence against the woman as well. So it just didn't really. There was just no conclusion that could be made on that matter. Major League Baseball, they also came out with a comment today. MLB's investigation is ongoing, and we will comment further at the appropriate time. After the district attorney's office announced their decision, here's Bauer's video. If like I said, he posted it on Twitter as well, if that's quicker for you to get to, denying that he assaulted his accuser and asserting the entirety of their sexual encounter was consensual. And that was another big word that he kept using throughout this whole process, consensual. And hey, believe what you want. I don't know. I can't really, I don't know. It's just, to me, if the police department did their investigation, if the people involved here that did their investigation and they found no wrongdoing. Again, there were text messages against the woman where it didn't look like, a lot of what she was saying. I'm not saying everything she was saying was false, but it just seemed like a lot of it just didn't add up in some ways. So, especially some text messages that were released as well. So, but now the question is, what will happen to Trevor Bauer with Major League Baseball. So the policy with Major League Baseball: the absence of criminal charges does not bring an end to the MLB investigation. The MLB Players Association Joint Domestic Violence, Sexual Assault, and Child Abuse Policy permits Major League Baseball to impose discipline even in the absence of criminal charges. So even though he is cleared of the criminal charges, he can still get disciplined by Major League Baseball based off of their own investigation. While Bauer was on administrative leave, it was reported that an Ohio woman had received a stalking protection order against him in June of 2020 after also alleging he assaulted her. So during sexual activities. But Trevor Bauer also again saying this is completely false. There's nothing to this, and and once again just saying he's innocent. So the question is, what will Major League Baseball do here? Now, if I'm looking at again this all falls under their domestic violence policy. This also includes, like I said, joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse. So it's all under one umbrella. So if we go take a look at the players that have been suspended under this umbrella, Sam Dyson was the latest, where there was obviously enough mounting evidence where there were some pretty bad accusations against him as well, with his girlfriend, I guess her cats or something like that. But there were accusations of bullying, abuse, assault, so Major League Baseball, they came to their own conclusion and suspended him for an entire season. There was Domingo Germán, 81 games. You had Julio Urias, where he was suspended for 20. The list goes on. Addison Russell, Roberto Osuna. There was also Aroldis Chapman back in 2016. Stephen Wright on the Red Sox. I remember that. There have been quite a few players that have been suspended due to this policy. Now, the question is, what will happen with Trevor Bauer? So, like I said, he missed 81 games last season. About halfway through the season, that's when basically he just went away from the game of baseball. In total, he missed 81 games. Now, I think Major League Baseball, they are going to, in some way, shape, or form, are going to account for that. I'm not sure. I mean, again, obviously, I don't work for Major League Baseball. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a guy sitting at my desk. But if I'm looking at, these suspensions, the longest obviously is a full season. I don't think he gets suspended for a full season, considering the fact he already missed 81 games. I think they are going to take that into account. And then if you look at the smallest amount, you had 15 games from Stephen Wright, 15 from Juris Familia. My guess is I think Trevor Bauer ends, I'm not sure, I don't know, I'd have to look at the schedule. I'm going to say he ends up, my prediction is going to be that he ends up missing the first month of the season, or at least I feel like the first month sounds like it would be enough, considering that you're accounting for last season as well. Could he, start the season on time? Sure, he definitely could, considering he already missed 81 games last year. Now, I think I'm not saying what I want, I'm saying what I think. I think Major League Baseball, hey, they're not the biggest fans of Trevor Bauer. I'm just pointing that out there. But with Major League Baseball, I feel like he's going to get some kind of a suspension. I'm going to guess it's going to be, we won't see him until May. Probably, I would say May. That's my own prediction. Now, this is where it could get a little messy. It could definitely get a little messy with Trevor Bauer, where if they do suspend him, I would imagine he's going to appeal it. I mean, I would absolutely imagine that. It could maybe this somehow be brought to court depending on what the allegations are. Knowing Trevor Bauer, I would imagine he would pursue all the appeals that he can. Could you bring in, someone like a third party, to, kind of figure this out and whatnot? I could definitely see that happening. Where Trevor Bauer, I could imagine his stance is going to be, I missed 81 games last year. I was completely exonerated from all the charges. I missed 81 games. I'm okay with that. let me just start the season. I think that is probably what he is going to want. I think if he ends up getting suspended at all, he definitely will file an appeal. And who knows where it goes from that point. This could get messy. I still think this could get messy. Now, one thing to consider, if he does appeal, how under the domestic abuse policy that Major League Baseball has, he cannot play games during that time. So it's different where if like you get suspended for, arguing with an umpire and you appeal it, you can still play during that time. However, in this case, he will not be able to play. So I could definitely see an appeal from Trevor Bauer if that's the route that they take. And I could definitely see this getting messy. Kind of like how the Tom Brady, Rob Manfred thing was over Deflategate, where, hey, supposedly, the side note, NFL, according to recent reports, they threw away evidence that could have exonerated Tom Brady. Supposedly, that's what I was reading the other day. But I digress. I could see a similar situation where if Rob Manfred puts down a suspension on Bauer, I could see it going like that Tom Brady, Rob Manfred kind of a route where it can get kind of messy. It can get in the media. And then, that's something that we're talking about for a month or two. So have to keep an eye out for it. But in the end, Trevor Bauer has been cleared. The LA County District Attorney will not file charges against him. There just was not enough evidence. But what will Major League Baseball do? I feel like Trevor Bauer, I think he'll get a total. And it's also not just what happened here. There's also the allegation with that woman from Ohio. I don't know what's going on with that, but I would imagine, my guess, knowing Major League Baseball, looking at prior suspensions, I'm going to guess 100 games total, counting last season as well. So 81 games last season, 19 games this season. And maybe make it an even 20. I could see something like that. So let me know what you all think down below in the comments. Let me know what you think in the chat. What do you think is going to happen with Trevor Bauer? How many games do you think he ends up getting suspended? Do you think it's a lot? Let me know what you think. I'm very intrigued with what all of you think. But what do we got here? Nicholas, take a look at MLB Fox on Twitter. What do we got here, Nicholas? Ooh. Oh, we got something juicy. Ooh. There, Nicholas, thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Taking a look here. There he is, Mr. Rob Manfred, one of my favorite people on earth, scheduled to address the media on Thursday. Oh, my God. Oh, Rob Manfred, you might as well just stay away, man. I don't know. People are coming after your head at this point. I will say this about Rob Manfred. Not the biggest fan. Not the biggest fan at all. However, I will say this about Rob Manfred. At the end of the day, we all have to remember one thing. And I'm not defending him here, but I am just pointing something out. I'm being real at the end of the day. You guys know me. I'm always looking at both sides. So, however, Rob Manfred, he's not one of my favorite people. He works for the owners. You all have to remember that. The MLB owners are his boss. He is the one that is basically doing their bidding. He is the one that is talking for them. However, he does have the power to end this lockout. So could he end up doing that? I hope he ends up doing that. Why not? Why can't you just end the lockout and try and negotiate while a season is happening, while spring training is happening? He has the power to do that. I think Rob Manfred, come on, make the right move if you haven't. I can understand why you wouldn't want to start the season. I'm not saying I agree with it. I can understand it, though, because you probably want to all right, no, we're just going to get this negotiation done. No games until we get this done. Let's just get it done and we're done. All right. I can see that point of view. Do I agree with that? No, because I want baseball to come back. But I think but then again, I also think it would be, what do I know? I'm not an economist by any means. What do I know? But I would think Major League Baseball, you don't want to miss games. Do you really want to miss games? Maybe you can miss a few spring training games here and there. But with all of these free agents out there, with all of these trades that want to be made, remember, teams, I believe, can still talk with each other about trades. They can't contact players about anything. They can't talk contracts with players. They can't contact players at all. But teams can still talk with each other. Obviously, you can't do any physicals. You can't call the players or anything. But teams can still talk with each other about trades. So, however, nothing can be done. I think in the end, Rob Manfred, it's like you have the power to end the lockout. Just to me, it's not worth missing games. Do you really want to tick off the fan base that much? I mean, to me, during this time, I don't know, man. I don't know. GC, Rob Manfred puts ketchup on his hot dog. Well, I'm never going to be eating any hot dogs around GC because, unfortunately, I like a little ketchup on my hot dog too. Is that bad? I didn't know ketchup on your hot dog was bad. Is that bad? I mean, it's not just ketchup. I put ketchup and mustard. Is that bad to put ketchup on a hot dog? Is that a thing? Is that like a new thing please tell me, is that a bad thing? I thought ketchup on a hot dog with mustard was okay. If it's just ketchup, that sounds kind of, it just feels empty at that point. I got to think. I can understand why that's kind of funny though, because to me, you got to put the mustard too. But Rob Manfred, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be really interesting. I mean, obviously, what is he really going to say? What is he going to say? I mean, I think Major League Baseball, they have to come out and say something because the players, they've been all over Twitter. Do I agree with that? No, because in my personal opinion, if I'm going out there on Twitter and, spreading out, all these things of, things that don't look great about the company that I work for, I'm going to get in trouble. So I don't agree so much. I agree with the players speaking out, but I don't like the negativity so much. I can understand them speaking out, but again, if I spoke out that way about the company that I worked for, I would get in trouble. So that's just the way I look at it. And also, I just don't think the negativity really gets anything done because really, what's it going to do? At the end of the day, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. What are you going to change? Do you think Major League Baseball cares about the public perception of, sure, yes, they obviously care about the fans a little bit. They're trying, at the end of the day, they're trying to cater to the fans. But do you really think the players are really going to sway or the fan perception is really going to sway what the owners want? No. So what's the point of it? I don't know. This is just my opinion at the end of the day, but hopefully they can get things resolved. But I would imagine Rob Manfred is going to say something along the lines, like just, he's just going to give a generic statement, I think. I wonder who is this going to be an interview or is he just going to be in front of the media? It says address the media. So I'm guessing he'll take questions. So I don't think it's going to be like a sit down interview with like a Tom Verducci or something, but this will be interesting. This will be very interesting. I'm quite intrigued, but in the end, I feel like it's just going to be a generic statement. Nothing is really, I don't think it's really going to get anything done. I think we can get excited about it. Well, not excited, but I think we can get, curious about what he's going to say. But in the end, I feel like it's just going to, really, what is he going to say? Yeah, Major League Baseball. We feel like we're offering the Players Association the best offer for everyone involved. We feel like what we're offering is going to be good for the players. What we're offering is good for Major League Baseball. I feel like he's just going to say stuff like that. He's just going to try. At the end of the day, they got to try and make themselves look okay in this process. So I don't think we're going to hear all that much from Rob Manfred, or I think we'll hear words, but I feel like a lot of it is just going to be empty. I think it's just going to be, it just seems like a PR thing at this point. So that's just me. But let's get back to our show. A bit of a quick update here on the channel. This was just broken about 20 minutes ago. So Rob Manfred going to talk with the media on Thursday. So enough of the lockout. I feel like I'm just done with this lockout. I just want it to end, just whatever. So we've talked about Trevor Bauer. Let's get to our next story. It's looking like maybe the Chicago Cubs might be looking for a reunion with Mr. Anthony Rizzo. I have a soft spot for Anthony Rizzo. I've always enjoyed Anthony Rizzo. A part of me always wishes that he could have played for the Red Sox. But in the end, it worked out for everyone involved. But for me, Anthony Rizzo and the Cubs reuniting, let's take a look at this. I find it to be pretty interesting. Let's go take a look here. The Cubs have reportedly considered pursuit of Anthony Rizzo in free agency. Let's take a look at the story. The Cubs have had internal discussions about making a run at Anthony Rizzo in free agency, reports Bruce Levine of 670 The Score. They also reported the whole Carlos Correa thing with the Cubs, so have to wait and see on that. Chicago is obviously barred from having contact with Rizzo or his representatives at Sports One Athlete Management during the lockout, but Levine suggests they could put forth a contract offer whenever the transaction freeze is lifted. It's interesting. I wonder if they would want to pursue. Oh, you know what? Hold on 1 second, everyone. Before I do fully move on to this Anthony Rizzo story, I just want to point out one thing about Trevor Bauer. The Dodgers, I've been seeing this on Twitter. I'm so sorry. I'll talk about Anthony Rizzo in 1 second. But I've been seeing this on Twitter. Been seeing people saying, the Dodgers, there's no way they're going to want Trevor Bauer back. They're just going to cut him, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. If you want to cut Trevor Bauer, you're going to have to pay a lot of money. And if the Dodgers feel like they have an out with Trevor Bauer and they feel like they don't owe him anything, that's another thing that can get pretty messy too, because Trevor Bauer, that he will have his lawyers go after him or after the Dodgers, and that would be a mess. Do the Dodgers want to get involved in something like that? To me, if I were to make a prediction, I think Trevor Bauer will pitch for the Dodgers next year. To me, I don't even look at that as a prediction. I just look at that as, I don't see the Dodgers. I think that would be crazy if the Dodgers cut him. I mean, to me, Trevor Bauer is still a good pitcher. He's obviously still one of the better arms in the game. And the Dodgers, at the end of the day, if you're looking at their starting rotation right now, it's looking a little thin. Besides Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, after that, it's looking a little thin. Sure, could you have David Price as like a fourth or fifth guy, but Tony Gonsolin, Andrew Heaney? I mean, come on. Remember what the rotation looked like last year? Are you kidding me? Could you imagine if they had Trevor Bauer last year? Like there were no issues with him at all, and you had the rotation that you did? Oh my God. Kershaw, Buehler, Scherzer, Urias, and Buehler? Are you kidding me? What a rotation that would have been. I think they maybe could have gotten by the Braves if they had that. Anyway, I digress. I think the Dodgers, I think they will hang on to Trevor Bauer. I don't think I see people saying there's no way the Dodgers bring him back. Well, it's not that easy. You can't just cut him unless you want to pay the $35 million or whatever it is. And if you do cut him, there's no way Trevor Bauer is going to just let that sit. There's no way. He will absolutely appeal. Like they'll bring an arbitrator. I don't know what exactly would happen at that point, but it would get messy at that point. I think he's going to be pitching for the Dodgers next year. I don't think he'll apologize to the teammates. He'll come back, and I think everything will smooth out eventually with that. So, sorry everyone. Back to the Cubs. I do find this interesting. If the Cubs, to me, Anthony Rizzo. When I was looking at all of the players for the Chicago Cubs, remember, they traded away a lot of guys this past deadline. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez. There's a lot of guys they moved on from. And then Darvish, in the offseason prior. To me, I thought Anthony Rizzo, if you were going to hang on to one of those guys, Rizzo was the guy you would hang on to, because he just seemed like a Chicago Cub, for the rest of his career. Just the personality that he has. He's a great veteran, good for the city. To me, Rizzo was a guy you would hang on to, I don't know. But I find it very interesting. As of right now, you have Frank Schwindel at first base. So he did pretty good last year. Hit 326, a 371 on base, 14 homers. But don't forget, you have the universal DH now. So there, you can definitely fit Rizzo here at the DH spot right now. Whoa! Oh my God, I did it again. I have the volume just way up. Jared Cole, what is going on? $5 super chat. This might be unpopular, but signing a player the offseason after trading them sounds like cheating, and it was planned between player and team. Oh, you're talking about Rizzo. You know, it's always been that interesting thing where the Yankees did that, right? The Yankees, they traded away Chapman to the Cubs, and they brought him back the next offseason. I mean, to me, I see your argument behind it. Could there be a rule put in place at some point for that? Like you can't sign with that team if you have to wait a certain amount of time to go back to that team. I wonder if it, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, where, Bryce Harper even talked about that. I remember he was on a podcast and he was telling the Nationals, like, all right, if you trade me, just bring me back in the offseason. I'll just re-sign, and like, to me, I'm surprised players like don't do that more often. I don't know. To me, it's like just taking candy from a baby, when you can pull something off like that, trade a guy away, get prospects, and then just sign them back in the offseason. But that's how interesting the offseason gets. It's just because once you have other teams coming in, you can get swayed that easily. So I can understand the point, Jared Cole. Absolutely, I can. I feel it's funny because it doesn't really happen all that much. You would think it would happen more, but Jared, man, thank you for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate that. Could Anthony Rizzo go back to the Cubs? I mean, to me, I feel like the Cubs, they're not in a rebuild mode. They seem to be in a bit of a retool mode. And, they've added a couple of guys here, and they could still add someone like Carlos Correa. I mean, could you imagine if you're bringing Correa, you bring Rizzo back? I mean, you got a pretty solid lineup at that point. I still think you need some more pitching. I don't think Marcus Stroman is your ace. I think Marcus Stroman is a really good 2 or a 3 in that rotation. I don't think he's your ace, but he's going to be, a workhorse kind of a guy. I think you need an ace at that point. The bullpen could use some arms. But Rizzo, I'm not against it. I don't think it's all that crazy for Rizzo to go back to the Cubs. We'll have to wait and see. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. Do you think Rizzo could go back to the Cubs? What do you think? I think Rizzo, honestly, I think if the Yankees, to me, if you're the Yankees, if I would go after Freeman if you can, if you're not worried about going over that luxury tax line, whatever. If you can't get Freeman, bring Rizzo back. Honestly, I thought Rizzo was a nice fit for them. I think he had COVID at one point, and then it seemed like he struggled after that. But when he first came to the Yankees, he was doing pretty good. But Rizzo, I think, was really good for the Yankees. I think that would be a nice signing for them. And, hey, to me, I don't know. If you could also go after Matt Olson, but I'm on the record. I'm going to sit here and say I think the Yankees should hang on to Oswald Peraza. I think Oswald Peraza deserves a shot at winning the Yankee shortstop job. Why not? Good defense, good speed, and if you go after Matt Olson, most likely you're going to have to give up someone like an Oswald Peraza. He's that good. So that's just what I think. Bring back Rizzo or bring in Freeman if you can, and have Peraza start at short. And then if Anthony Volpe comes along down the road, well, then you'll figure it out with Anthony Volpe. Maybe just have him play second, maybe an outfield spot. If Peraza is still looking pretty good at that point, you can make it work. I've seen a lot of people on Yankee Land on Twitter already, calling Anthony Volpe the next Derek Jeter. Do you know how many people have done really well? How many players have done really well in single A, low A ball, high A ball? They get to double A and they just go, look at Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore, perfect example. This is a guy who's supposed to be the next best pitcher in baseball. What the heck happened to him? So I'm just saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If Anthony Volpe is looking good and he's ready to go, and then at that point, you find a way to put him in the lineup. It's a good problem to have. I don't think you just get rid of, Peraza is a good-looking shortstop. I'm just saying, he gives the Yankees two things that they need: defense and speed. So I digress. Let's move on here. That's pretty much it for the stories for right now. There is also another story, if I were to touch on it really quick before I get into the last thing tonight. Taking a look here. Not like a big deal, by any means. But, it is something to take note of. Major League Baseball, funny enough, if anyone's noticed this, we've been seeing a lot like post games. We've been seeing all the Zoom interviews, because of, COVID and everything. They closed off the clubhouses, and now it's looking like Major League Baseball, if the union approves, they want to bring the media back into the clubhouses. So, which, hey, I would love if that could happen because, hey, I'm just saying, I'm trying to this spring training. I'm going to do my doggone best to go to spring training this year and try and interview some players. I'm going to try. I might be able to. That's, keep your fingers crossed. I might have an in, possibly. I haven't really talked about that all that much. But to me, this is good news for me because I might be able to go to spring training and be able to interview players. We're going to have to wait and see. Again, keep your fingers crossed. I might have an in. Stay tuned for that. But I find it, I think this is good. Hey, get to meet, hey, it's always fun when the players can get interviewed in the clubhouse. I always love the Zoom stuff. It's like, I'm just getting bored of, sometimes I like watching post-game stuff, like the interviews and whatnot. The Zoom interviews, it's just like, it's like, good grief. Can we just move along from these Zoom interviews after the games? They just feel awkward and they just feel like just, ugh. Anyway, that's something to take note of. Taking a look here at MLB Trade Rumors, 14 likeliest trade candidates. Well, I mean, the top row here, it's all the A's. I mean, I feel like MLB Trade Rumors taking the bit of an easy way out here. But I can obviously, of course, these guys are all trade candidates. So Matt Olson, of course, is going to be the top one. Matt Chapman at number 2, Sean Manaea at number 3, Chris Bassett at number 4. And don't forget about Lou Trevino. This is a guy, too, where Lou Trevino absolutely could be a guy that could be had. So let's go to baseball trade values. You all know I love me some baseball trade values. It's the best trade simulator out there. But let's take a look here. So we got the A's. Teams that I think for Matt Olson, if we're looking, first base, Matt Olson, there's a lot of possibilities. I know the Yankees are the hot one right now. You got Luke Voit there. Would the A's want Luke Voit in return? Probably not, because most likely if they're trying to cut payroll, they're probably going to want more pre-arbitration players to keep things on the cheap. Luke Voit is past that point already, so Luke Voit might not be a guy. Could he be? Maybe. He would essentially save you about $5 million, if you were to take over Matt Olson. I look at Luke Voit as like a mini Jason Giambi from the right side, but the advantage of that where, Luke Voit, hey, he's a guy that can just slide right in. To me, I want Luke Voit to be more at DH at this point. So I feel like that might not be a perfect, trade fit to me. I think with Luke Voit, I feel like, once the universal DH becomes a thing, there's a lot of National League teams out there where, they could use a DH. So Luke Voit, I'd love for Luke Voit to go to a team like the Rockies. I think that would be really good. But you got some other teams here. Could the Rangers get involved? You could send Nate Lowe back, where that would be he's a pre-arb guy. That would be a seamless fit for the A's to get back. But if we're going down here, if you're looking, obviously the Braves right now, no Freddie Freeman. If the Braves don't get Matt Olson, well then, or if the Braves don't bring Freddie Freeman back, Matt Olson is a guy that you can pivot to. And this offseason, they have supposedly talked to the Braves about Matt Olson. I think a really interesting. Also, I will say Cleveland. Cleveland, I feel like, could be an underrated team to where Matt Olson, you'd have him for a couple of years. Most likely, the way Cleveland tends to go, they don't want to sign these guys to these big contracts. But could Cleveland bring him in for a couple of years? He would be an upgrade over Bobby Bradley. So they have the prospect depth to possibly get a deal done. I think Cleveland could be interesting. I wish the Diamondbacks would make some kind of a move. I'm just not a big fan of Christian Walker. I like the glove, but I'm just not a big fan of the offense. If the Diamondbacks could make a move for Matt Olson, that would be huge. I don't think my Red Sox go after him. I think Tristan Casas is going to be a guy where the Red Sox value him, and he's making good strides in the minor leagues. A team that I think is an under-the-radar team, which is surprising to me because, they have the prospects to get it done, but that's the Dodgers. I just did a video last night, if you haven't seen it, 10 moves that I would like to see after the lockout. I would love to see Matt Olson on the Dodgers. You're staying in California. You're just moving from Oakland to LA. Max Muncy, you can move him over to second. And in a trade that I had, I actually put a trade up. Let me go to the trade here in case you didn't see the video yesterday. The trade that I put together. Okay, it's getting some thumbs up here. All right. Here's the trade that I put together here. Matt Olson going to the Dodgers for leading this package would be former number 1 prospect Gavin Lux. I guess it's Andy Pages. I guess someone put that in the comments. I've been calling him Andy Pages for so long. I see Pages. When I see Pages, I'm going to say Pages. But I guess it's Andy Pages, I guess. But then a couple other guys, Clayton Beater and Jacob Amaya. So I would imagine, the Dodgers, they would probably want Freddie Freeman, if they obviously money doesn't really seem to be a thing, but they have the prospects to get this done. They got prospects for days, it's, no surprise there. So I would love Matt Olson to be an option for the Dodgers. So let's taking a look at some other guys here. Where is it here? Here we go. And you got Matt Chapman. This is like the next guy up. He's going to hit for some power. The on base and the batting average were a little low last year. However, with Matt Chapman, he was coming off of a hip surgery. So that's one thing to consider. Sometimes these hip surgeries, I've had the same exact surgery that Chapman had. And for me, I bounced back from it really well. However, you're not seeing me diving out there in the field and running the bases. I just do powerlifting. So I'm not running around. So who knows how his hip is holding up. But Matt Chapman, 28 home runs last year, great defense at third base. Even with the hip surgery, still one of the best defenders in Major League Baseball last year, not just at third base, but in Major League Baseball overall. So if we were to take a look at some teams here that could use some third base help. Again, I mentioned this Diamondbacks team earlier. The Diamondbacks, man, they would be awesome for a team like for Matt Chapman. As of right now, you got Josh Rojas there. To me, I like Josh Rojas as like a utility kind of a player, like a super utility guy, like a Brock Holt kind of a guy. I think he would be awesome for the Diamondbacks. You got teams like the Blue Jays that could, sure, you could use a right-handed bat. As of right now, you got Santiago Espinal there. Could you go with him? Sure. Yeah. He's projected for a 1.0 WAR. So could you stick with him? You got Kevin Biggio that can slide there as well. Don't forget you have Jordan Groshans could come up eventually. But Matt Chapman definitely could be a fit for the Blue Jays. There's the Phillies. I think they're going to go with Alec Baum. Honestly, I think the Rockies would be fantastic if they could add a bat there. I mean, that defense is already they were number 1 last year in Major League Baseball. If you take a look, or maybe not number 1. Were they number 2? They're number 2. The Rangers had the best defense last year. So, and the Rockies were number 2. Surprisingly enough, right? You think like, the Cardinals or the Brewers had the best defense, but the Rangers had the best defense. That's funny. And then the Rockies were number 2. They had 61 defensive runs saved. Man, if you added Matt Chapman, into this defense, that would be nuts. And then you always hear another one with the Mets. That seems to be the popular one. I feel like with the Mets, you have a lot of guys at this point. I feel like with the Mets right now, you have, like I said, you got a lot of guys on this team already. If we're looking here, you have Eduardo Escobar at third right now. The thing about Eduardo Escobar is he can move. You can move him over to second. But, what's going on with Jeff McNeil? I don't know. Do you move Jeff McNeil? Sure. But don't forget you have J.D. Davis there. You have Dominic Smith. They got a lot of guys right now. I feel like Matt Chapman, you're going to have to make another move for Matt Chapman to fit because he's not playing anywhere else other than third. So the good thing about Escobar is he can move. But really, if you're looking at it, I mean, Escobar, the only other place he could move to, at least on this, on the projections, would be second base. So, he could play, but we got Mark Canha in the outfield. Marte, obviously, Nimmo. So really, I mean, what happens with Jeff McNeil? And then what happens with J.D. Davis? What happens with Dominic Smith? Honestly, I don't think the Mets are in a great position right now to sign or to trade. Maybe they could trade for someone like Sean Manaea, who's not going to cost as much as a Matt Chapman. I just think right now with the Mets, they're trying to rebuild that farm while also putting together a good team at the major league level. So there's a lot of spots for Matt Chapman. At the end of the day, my favorite fit would be the Diamondbacks. That would be great if they can improve their defense while adding another bat. I think the Diamondbacks, that's the approach they need to take. They need another bat in that lineup, and they could use some better defense. To me, I think he's a really good fit for the Diamondbacks, but that's just me. And they have the prospects to get something like that done. Taking a look, you got Sean Manaea. I've said this until I'm blue in the face. I like him for the Mets. I really do. There's other teams out there, absolutely, like the Minnesota Twins could use some starting pitching. The Nationals could use some starting pitching. I think there's a lot of spots. I mean, the Cubs, I think he could be a good fit with the Cubs, too. They could use some more starting pitching. There's plenty of teams. Absolutely. I think the Mets, because again, I like having a lefty or two in the rotation. That's just my preference at the end of the day. And the Mets they have David Peterson, but I mean, really, what is David at this point, unless he makes a big turnaround and makes some changes, his numbers don't look pretty at this point. And I believe he's dealing with some kind of an injury at the moment. I'm not quite sure, but Sean Manaea, there's a lot of places he could go. The Mariners could use another starting pitcher. Could the Angels jump in for someone like Sean Manaea? There's a lot of fits, teams that really could use starting pitching. And again, I'm sorry to say it, but the Diamondbacks could use everything. It's funny with the Diamondbacks because I think they have a pretty good team, but there's a lot of players that they could make a move for that could be an upgrade for their team. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Sean Manaea. We have Chris Bassett, kind of the same story where he would be a fit on a lot of teams. I would love someone like Chris Bassett for the Minnesota Twins. He's not going to cost you too much, I think. I think he's actually going to cost you right around what Sean Manaea would cost. I believe, if we're taking a look here at the A's, Sean Manaea is worth around $18 million, 18 and a half, while Chris Bassett's worth $17 million. So both of these guys are going to cost you a couple of decent prospects, not maybe top prospects, but like maybe prospects that are in like the 10 to 15 range, maybe even like the 7 to 10 range, maybe one or two of those kind of guys. I could see something like that. But Chris Bassett, same thing. There's a lot of fits for him. I think even a team like the Yankees, if they do have a full rotation right now, but could you add someone like a Chris Bassett there? Sure. I would love the Yankees to add a legit, well, I wouldn't love it as a Red Sox fan, but as a baseball fan, I think the Yankees really could use a stud alongside Garrett Cole. Could Luis Severino come back and be that guy? We'll have to wait and see, but there's a lot of fits for Chris Bassett out there. Moving on to the next tier of guys that they have here, Craig Kimbrell. Craig Kimbrell is such an enigma. I think there's a lot of fits for him. I was actually listening to Baseball Trade Values. If you don't know this, they have a podcast. They have a podcast. I've been listening to this podcast lately. I've been jumping in. And, there was actually one trade out there that maybe you could send. There was, let me actually put it together here. It was a trade between the White Sox and the Mariners. I thought it was actually a pretty interesting looking trade. If we take a look here, let's put Kimbrell. I think Kimbrell maybe has like $1 million worth of value, or about $500,000. Send Kimbrell to the Mariners. I believe it would be part of a package, because there was actually a report that the Mariners, we read this the other night on our stream, that the Mariners they might not end up hanging on to Adam Frazier. They brought him in a trade. Adam Frazier, if you go back to last year, around like June, early July, the White Sox were linked to him, and I really think he still is a good fit for the Chicago White Sox. If we go take a look here, looking at the White Sox, at second base, you have Lurie Garcia. But Lurie Garcia, the benefit of him is he's a super utility kind of a guy. Taking a look at how many different positions he can play. Look at all the positions that he can play. He can play all over the diamond. Minus center field. He has played center field. He can play all three outfield spots, and he plays all over the infield. So minus first base and catcher. So Lurie Garcia is a guy that can move around, and he can find playing time that way. And you could put Adam Frazier at the second base spot. I think personally they could use a bit more thump. I feel like I don't think you need to go after Adam. I mean, maybe at this point it could make some sense. Kimbrel, as of right now, is listed as a setup guy, but the White Sox do have a lot of guys in this bullpen. I wonder if they end up hanging on to Kimbrel, because at the end of the day, you have a lot of a good thing. I know Kimbrel struggled last year when he went to the White Sox, but maybe a fresh start in spring training. Maybe Kimbrel can get his act together. So, and don't forget, Ryan Tepera became a free agent, so maybe they want to hang on to Craig Kimbrel. I know there was a report out there saying that they would like to trade him, but maybe they could end up hanging on to him. But this is, I find, a pretty intriguing trade. Just swap Adam Frazier for Craig Kimbrel. I think that is pretty interesting. So, I don't know. Could that be a possibility? There's also a team like the Phillies. I've been saying that. I feel like, again, how many times have I said Craig Kimbrel to the Phillies? He has that the Dave Dombrowski connection where he traded for him while he was the president of baseball operations with the Red Sox, and almost gave me a heart attack in 2018 pitching in the postseason. But the Phillies, their bullpen is always having problems. Take a chance on Kimbrel, and then you have a pretty good looking back end of the bullpen there. At least on paper. You brought in a Corey Knebel, but I think the Phillies make sense. It's just a matter of what team. I see you, Chris Flora. Chris Bassett might also be a pretty nice fit for the Tigers. I might like that. Or maybe Sean Manaea. But yeah, for Craig Kimbrel, I could definitely see the Phillies being a really good spot. If we were to take a look at the rankings, projection-wise, can you imagine Craig Kimbrel on the Rockies just giving up home runs in Coors Field? Good grief. Could the Rangers be a fit for Kimbrel? Could they be a fit? Diamondbacks, probably not. They just brought in Mark Melanson, but you can never have too much of a good thing. Maybe the Nationals, a team like that, could take a chance on him. The one good thing about Craig Kimbrel is he's not going to cost you a lot, because his performance with the White Sox lowered his value a bit, and you would have to take on his contract. So the only way you would get more value for him is if the White Sox ate some of his contract. So that's something to take note of. I think the Mariners fit is a little intriguing, especially, they did trade Kendall Graveman, but then they got Diego Castillo back. So at least they filled that spot with Graveman, but Kimbrel on the Mariners, I think, would be pretty cool. But yeah, there's a lot of spots. There's a lot of spots for Kimbrel, so have to wait and see. Kevin Kiermaier is an interesting one. If you take a look at the center field projected rankings for next year, if you go to the bottom, the Phillies, they always seem to be the one team that's connected with Kimbrel. They need some defense out there. They were one of the lesser defensive teams. Well, I wouldn't say lesser. I think they were around middle of the road. But the Phillies could use a center fielder. As of right now, their projected center fielder is Mickey Moniak. But what's Mickey Moniak? I don't know. I just feel like the ship has maybe sailed on Mickey Moniak. Maybe they give him another chance. But could you have maybe Kimbrel? There's also the Yankees that have been listed as a possible spot, because the Yankees, they, at this point, I don't know. Aaron Hicks. I think I'd rather have Kiermaier than Aaron Hicks at this point. At least with Kiermaier, he's going to give you a good glove, and he's going to give you range out there, where Aaron Hicks, he's barely on the field. So that, to me, those are the teams that I would say personally for Kevin Kiermaier. You could say maybe the Tigers, Maybe not, because you have young guys here. Riley Green, I think it will come up at some point. Could you have Kevin Kiermaier to start your season? Maybe. Maybe the Cubs. As of right now, you got Rafael Ortega. He was all right last year. Maybe the Rangers, but Adolis Garcia, as of right now, projected for center field. But you can move him around. So Kevin Kiermaier is an interesting one. Dominic Smith, Jeff McNeil, and J.D. Davis. We were just talking about how the Mets earlier, if you were to bring in someone like Matt Chapman, to me, you're going to have to move one of these guys, to create a roster spot. Most likely, I would think Jeff McNeil would be the guy that you would try and move. That way you could move Escobar over to second base, and that would open up third. So McNeil would be the guy that I think would make sense to move. And that J.D. Davis is such an interesting one, where he looked really good with the bat last year when he was healthy. But I don't know, man. Like, what do you do with him? So if you're looking here at J.D. Davis, I believe he still has a good amount of value. He's got around $11.5 million worth of value. J.D. Davis, there are teams out there, I think, that they would take a risk. I think the Rockies, we were just talking about the Rockies, how they would be a good fit for Matt Chapman. Could you maybe pull something off for J.D. Davis? Change the scenery. He could slide in. The defense wouldn't be great, but at least that would bring another bat to your lineup. The Cubs have been looked at as a possible spot for J.D. Davis a couple of times, I've read. Carter Kieboom. I see how the Nationals here are number 29, but Carter Kieboom is projected for a 1.2 WAR. So I think you could have Carter Kieboom maybe do something. Maybe you could pull off some kind of a trade with the Orioles, for John Means, something like that. I think John Means, that could be a pretty good guy for that ballpark. Fly ball pitcher, spacious stadium with the Mets. If we got Davis here. For John Means, you're looking at around like $40 million worth of value, because he's under control and he's had, pretty good numbers. Maybe not the best numbers, but the advanced metrics, I believe, with John Means look pretty good. I could be wrong. Let me go baseball savant. But he threw the no-hitter last year. He's a serviceable arm when he's healthy. But then again, people will say with the no-hitter, that was the sticky tack. We got 96 people in here. What's going on, everyone? How are we doing? But yeah, John Means last year was pretty good. He had a 3.62 ERA. What was the FIP? What was the FIP for John Means? Again, he is their ace right now, but you got some guys in the minor leagues that are coming up. He had a 4.62 FIP. So some of his advanced numbers were pretty good. Good spin rate on the fastball. Could that have been the sticky tack? Walk rate ranked near the top. Doesn't give up a lot of exit velocity or hard hit balls. So I think John Means is a guy that could still be still a pretty good arm in this game. And could you maybe do something with the Orioles where you're sending over J.D. Davis as a part of a package? But again, I don't know if the Mets really have, a lot right now where do they want to be going after a guy like John Means? I don't know. But then J.D. Davis, yes, there are some spots out there where you could move him. Jeff McNeil, could you do something with the White Sox? We were just talking about second base. You could have Jeff McNeil slide right over, play second base with the White Sox. I think I would rather have, I don't know, it's interesting. Adam Frazier is interesting, but Jeff McNeil for the White Sox, I think would be pretty good. So there's a lot of fits for Jeff McNeil. Let's say we're looking at second base. Let's take a look at the second base projections. Taking a look. So, if you do the Orioles, could you maybe send Jeff McNeil back to the Orioles? Maybe. But yeah, the White Sox down here, they're number 28. You know, the Nationals, probably not. You got Cesar Hernandez. You also have Luis Garcia. The Angels could be interesting. You could move David Fletcher over to short. I think you need more pitching. Could you do the Blue Jays? Yeah, you could do the Blue Jays. Have Kevin Biggio move. I guess moving. Maybe the Rockies would be pretty cool. Giants could use another bat, possibly. You know, I think they could use more of an outfield bat. I don't know. Maybe Cleveland. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not the Phillies. Not the Mariners as of right now. Probably not the Dodgers. Yeah, it's funny. With Jeff McNeil, they are projected number 14 at this point. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the Mets do. And then Dominic Smith is really interesting. If I'm taking a look here at Dominic Smith, this was a guy in 2020, was looking pretty good. And then last year, he just didn't really do anything. He had 11 home runs, but he only hit 244, 304 on base. He had a lot of plate appearances. At this point, I think the Mets hang on to Dominic Smith because, really, what are you going to get for him? What are you going to get for Dominic Smith at this point? What is his value? Like a couple million? 1.4 million? So, really, what are you going to get for him? I say hang on to him because at least this is a guy he can play in the outfield. He can play first base. So he has versatility, and he brings value to your team off the bench. I think he'd be a pretty good bench guy. So that's what I'm thinking here. It's going to be interesting to see what the Mets do. Got Wilson Contreras. I think that's really interesting. With the Cubs, I think the Yankees should be all over Wilson Contreras. Good grief. Go after this guy. You all know how I feel about Gary Sanchez. Don't understand what the appeal is with Gary Sanchez. John Boy loves him. Jake and John Boy, they love that guy. I don't know why. I don't see what it is. I don't know. You can't sit here and tell me because he's a guy. He can catch. He hurts your team. I don't see how what? Because he catches on fire sometimes. I don't see it. I don't know, man. That's just me. Whatever. But Wilson Contreras to me, I think would be really good for the Yankees. That could be a nice upgrade. What do we got here? The Athletic. Post-lockout priorities. A big signing for Boston. Might have to react to another article from the Athletic. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you want to have me react to more Athletic stuff. Sonny Gray is an interesting... I got to look at this article. Hold on. What is it? I just had this article pop up. What is it? Oh, yes! Yes! Jim Bowden made an article. Oh, yeah. This is getting juicy. Oh, yes, I love reacting to Jim Bowden stuff. Oh, man. Oh, please tell me he has trades here. Oh, Jim! Why would the Orioles sign Carlos Rodon? Stop it. Oh, I can't. I'm going to do a video on this. Nope. Jim Bowden, what the heck are you talking about, dude? Oh, my God. All right. I can't. I don't understand. I don't understand. Why? I guess I could see the thinking behind a Carlos Rodon to the Orioles because maybe that could rebuild his value. I don't know. Maybe you could. I don't think it's that far-fetched. Maybe I'm just getting a little crazy, but I guess if you're the Orioles, if you signed him and he ends up doing well, you could trade him at the trade deadline. I just don't see the Orioles doing that. I don't know. Why would they spend the money on that? I don't see it. I don't think they would do that unless maybe they were in contention, like they had a chance, and if it just wasn't working out, then they can just trade him at the deadline. So, but it's just such a risk at that point because if you sign him and then and if it doesn't work, but then again, the Orioles are not going to do anything this year. So, could you sign him and then try to trade him? Yeah. But with his health, why? what is even the point of that risk? Because what if you sign him for $20 million, like Jim Bowden just said, but then he gets hurt. So it's like, what's the point of that? Oh, Jim Bowden. You know what? I tried to give Jim Bowden a little slack right there, but good grief. I'm sorry. I can't do it with Jim Bowden. Sonny Gray. That's an interesting arm. Obviously, like we talked about with Sean Manaea, Chris Bassett, Sonny Gray obviously would help out a lot of teams with their starting pitching depth. I think the Rangers would be a really good fit for Sonny Gray. I would love that. Could a team, I don't know. I'm thinking here. Or you got the Angels that could make some sense. They need starting pitching. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use starting pitching. Let me go to the bottom again. Diamondbacks, again, could be fun. I would love the Diamondbacks to make some moves. You have the prospects. But taking a look, you got Jake Odorizzi's an interesting one. I don't know where this came from. I feel like I've only seen his name pop up recently. In September, Odorizzi expressed frustration after being pulled from a start after only 66 pitches. In the following start, he exited early with a foot injury. And don't forget, he was left off the roster for the Astros in the division round. So I guess he's not going to be expensive. He has a buyout for 2023. So, saying here, you can't imagine he won't be excited to serve as the Astros long man. So could that? I don't know. I think the Astros, with the injuries that they were having, I think you're better off hanging on to Jake Odorizzi personally. And then the last guy on this list, Luke Voit. I was talking about Luke Voit earlier. I think the Rockies make a ton of sense for Luke Voit. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use some offense. And Luke Voit, I think if you can be the DH somewhere, I think he makes sense for a lot of teams, especially National League teams. I'm so sorry. I'm going to do it one more time. Could the Diamondbacks be a good spot? You got guys like Seth Beer. It's just the Christian Walker thing. I don't know what it is. I can't do it with Christian Walker. To me, if there's a way to upgrade over him, I think you do it. He would be really good there. But I think the Rockies ultimately would be a really good fit for Luke Voit, to be completely honest. That's just me. Could maybe the Cubs? Could you do something with the Cubs? Sure. Could you maybe do some kind of a Wilson Contreras trade where you do the Yankees and the Cubs? Let's go take a look at this. Oh, maybe this gets pretty interesting here. Let's do the Yankees. All right, let's do the Yankees over here. Let's do the Cubs over here. Let's do so Wilson Contreras is going to cost $14 million in value. And then while Voit, and if we take a look, he's going to cost $3 million. So taking one quick look at the Yankees really quick. Or no, the Cubs, sorry. So you have, as of right now, you got Frank Schwindel, but then you have Clint Frazier as your DH. Luke Voit, I think, could be interesting for the Cubs. You could have, see what Clint Frazier ends up doing. Could maybe Clint Frazier end up, getting an outfield spot, maybe somehow, some way, or at least as your fourth outfielder. And maybe Luke Voit can be your DH. That's maybe something. With the Yankees, Contreras would be an upgrade. Could you just send back Gary Sanchez? Look at Gary. Look at good old Gary Sanchez with that zero value. And then, maybe just put in one little prospect here. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Vargas. Maybe Pereira. Maybe Gill. Something like that. I think there's a trend. Why not? Let's just put Pereira. And then maybe you got something here. Voit, Sanchez, and Pereira for Contreras. Something like that. I don't know. I think Voit, you'd be really interesting for a team like the Cubs. I think the Rockies would be awesome. But those are the likeliest trade candidates on MLB Trade Rumors. So let me know in the comments who are some other trade candidates that you think. I think there are a few out there. But we'll have to wait and see if these guys end up getting traded. But everyone, I'm going to get out of here tonight. It is almost 10 o'clock here. For tomorrow, I have my yearly evaluation at work for my actual job, my day-to-day job of being a teacher. So getting evaluated tomorrow. So I got to get myself ready for that. But it was nice to be able to come on tonight, talk some baseball, Trevor Bauer, Anthony Rizzo, some trade candidates. We're just trying to make it through this lockout. Don't forget Rob Manfred. We'll hear about him on Thursday. I will absolutely be live for that. To react to what he has to say. Hopefully we have some other news. But everyone, I'm going to get out of here for tonight. I appreciate all of you coming out tonight. Have yourself a good night. Have a good day tomorrow. Expect some kind of content tomorrow, whether if it's an upload or me going live. If there's any news, I'll definitely go live. If there's not really anything, if it's a slow news day, expect some kind of an upload. But everyone, have yourself a good night, and I'll talk to you next time.